So I thought to myself, how do I convince somebody to take your precious time, roll up your sleeve, and have a complete stranger stick a sharp object into your arm? Well, I could tell you about Deborah, who didn't go to the doctor until she blacked out one day and discovered she was bleeding internally. 4 units of blood, surgery, and a full recovery later, she now works for Blood Source, making sure the blood is available for others. I could tell you about 13-year-old Kate, who also bleeding internally, received blood, helping her to recover and live an active lifestyle. I could mention Ron with leukemia, who now has time to enjoy his 10 grandchildren. Imagine Connor Ellison, 13 years old, being treated for liver disease and receiving blood, living his dream to race across America with Team Donate Life and meeting Lance Armstrong. There's also 6th grader Dylan receiving blood and marrow in his fight against leukemia. Picture yourself the parents of Thomas and Elijah Suarez, 2.5 pounds at birth, receiving transfusions during their first 2 months of life, which were spent at the hospital. They're now 4 years old and enjoying life with their big brother. These stories and others are on the postcards at your table throughout the room. Please feel free to take these with you. One of my favorite stories is of Tyler Yates. Born with an immune deficiency, his parents were told that he would not live to the age of 5. Well, many expiration dates, that's what he calls them, later, he is 23 years old and in his medical residency to become a pediatric immunologist. He said he wants to give back. I loved it when he said he wanted to play soccer and was told he had to get a release from his doctor. He went to the doctor and the doctor said, no, it's too dangerous. So he wrote on the medical exam against doctor's recommendation and went ahead and played soccer. His disease has no cure, but with an 8-hour plasma treatment every 21 days, he's able to live and not in a bubble. As a frequent plasma donor, it was really cool the day I went to Midtown to donate, and the Blood Source staff member chatting with me during the donor evaluation said, I'm Tyler's mom. I asked her to tell Tyler to make good use of my plasma. Not only would Tyler not be alive today without donors, how many lives will he touch as a pediatric immunologist or maybe a soccer coach? Then for me, I wouldn't need anything more than little Sophia. 4 years after a diagnosis of leukemia and in remission, running across the room at church every time she sees me to give me a hug. See, I made a lifelong friend when I hosted a blood drive for her benefit. At the end of the drive, at 5 years old, she snuck up behind me, wrapped her little arms around my leg, and gave me a hug. I knelt down and she put her arms around my neck, and as she hugged me, she said, thank you. In the room this morning, there are more stories because there are recipients with us today. In fact, most of us probably know a recipient. How many of them would not be alive without blood donors? About 70% of us in the room right now will receive blood during our lives. The amazing thing about that statistic is that less than 5% of the population will ever donate. But I'm not here today to tell you stories to convince you to donate. I believe that any one of those stories would be enough to convince most people to maybe get involved once, especially if you knew the recipient. But that's not my goal today. I would like to tell you today about a group of people in your community who generally go unnoticed. I don't think they've ever made Sacramento Magazine's People of the Year or really received much other recognition for what they do. They just quietly go about their business, but have a passion for saving lives. It's a small thing, you know, as each donation only saves up to 3 lives. Well, those 3 people are saved, and I guess the impact of their family and friends who get to watch them enjoy life for another day. So maybe each donation impacts more than 3 lives. In Tyler's case, maybe the impact would be significantly more than 3 because of what he does with his life. I believe given the right circumstance, most of us would do the right thing. After all, if you saw a person trapped in a car in danger, wouldn't you act to help them? Or you saw a child's face in the window of a burning building, wouldn't you risk yourself to save the child? There is a group among you that doesn't need to see the trapped person or the child's face or to even hear the stories. They have committed themselves to act, not once, not occasionally, but regularly. They don't need to be talked into donating, they're already convinced. The thing about blood is it is like a parachute. If you don't already have the parachute when you need it, well then you probably won't be needing it. They say that the rarest type of blood is the blood not on the shelf when needed. Fortunately, in Northern California, that is not an issue because of the group I'm describing. Did you know that during the 60-plus year existence of Blood Source, a surgery at a hospital serviced by Blood Source has never needed to be postponed or canceled due to the lack of blood? That was never. That is an awesome testimony to the dedication of blood donors in Northern California. The group I'm talking about is the regular frequent donors. They donate because they can. They donate because it saves lives. Lives of people they may never meet, nor ever even hear their story. They donate because they want to make a difference in their little corner of the world. They know that the impact goes way beyond the recipient. I see them as an elite group. They are my heroes. I was proud to join them about 14 years ago. They are called the 10-Gallon Club. 10 gallons. Picture that milk jug times 10. 1 pint at a time, but 80 times. Currently, there are over 7,000 members in the Blood Source 10-Gallon Club. Time for the mathematicians. 7,000 members times 80 units times 3 recipients. If my math is correct, that works out to about 168,000 lives. Before you count the impact of family, friends, and community. Remember Tyler? It is believed to be the largest 10-gallon club in the world. We like to excel here in Northern California. Last year, nearly 500 people joined the club. 2 years ago, my son joined the club as the youngest, at 17, as the youngest 10-gallon donor in the history of Blood Source. He also received the Red Cross Hometown Hero Award for his selfless giving. But I know the truth, though, about my son. He wants to beat Dad. I have a picture in my mind of a donation receipt stuck to my tombstone that reads, "Beat you, Dad." I have explained to him that it would only be over my dead body that he would beat me. Maybe we're just a little competitive. You might hear around our house something along the lines of, "How many lives have you saved today?" Then there are those who are not satisfied with only 10 gallons, and they go on to 15, 20, 25 gallons. We call them the centennial donors. Those are the donors who are in the hundreds of units donated. I saw a headline from January 30, 2010. It read, "World record set by Phil Baird." His world record is 231 units of whole blood. Perspective time. Oil is traded on the market in barrels. A barrel is 55 gallons or 440 units. There are about 70 centennial donors who have filled at least one barrel. Then there's James Harrison, who is also known as the man with the golden arm. He is said to hold the world record for donations at 1,000 units. I find these world records confusing, though, because over 30 of your neighbors are what Blood Source calls millennial donors. 1,000 unit donors. Millennial donors. I guess when you have enough of them, they deserve a name. In fact, the first Blood Source millennial donor was recognized about 7 years before Mr. Harrison would reach 1,000 units. So much for world records. At the present time, there are at least 3 donors who have donated over 1,600 units, or 200 gallons. I guess they decided that 1 barrel wasn't enough and are about to finish 4 barrels each. Math time again. 1,600 units times 3 recipients is 4,800 lives, plus family, friends, and community. Remember Tyler? These donors have demonstrated a passion for giving the gift of life. There are areas of my life in which people tell me, you've already done enough. To me, it really isn't about what I've already done, but what about I haven't yet done but could do? What would I say to the baby's parents, the trauma victim, the cancer patient, or Tyler's mom? Would I tell them, sorry, I've already done enough. You will have to get the plasma you need to live from somebody else. Next to the blood that wasn't donated, I have one of the rarest blood types. My type is rare, my plasma is universal. Any patient can receive my plasma without rejection. As the blood source medical director puts it, I have liquid platinum running through my veins. So to me, it really doesn't matter how many units I have already donated, but how many more people I can impact through regular, frequent donations. Last year, the average whole blood donor donated 1.9 times. There are frequent plasma donors who donate not 1.9 times per year or month, but donate about 1.5 times per week. It becomes a little donor club, kind of like Cheers, where everybody knows your name and they're always glad you came. Perspective time, again. No good talk is worthwhile without a sports analogy. In 2001, Barry Bonds of the San Francisco Giants set a new single-season home run record of, anybody?
61.
73 home runs, with a total of 137 RBIs or runs batted in. He received worldwide fame and recognition for his accomplishment. Comparatively, some frequent plasma donors donate as many as 77 times per year and 2 units per donation. It seems to me that every unit donated is a home run with 3 runs batted in. I like to call it the somebody factor. As I was driving onto my street one day, I saw a broken glass bottle in the street. I drove by the broken glass, thinking that somebody should clean it up. In fact, I knew who the somebody was. No, not by name, but it would have been the person who broke it. Realizing that if somebody intended to clean it up, somebody already would have. It occurred to me that I am somebody. So after parking at my house, I took a broom and a dustpan and cleaned up the broken glass. While I was doing that, some of my neighbors drove by and asked what I was doing. I told them I realized I was somebody. So I challenge you today to be somebody. It is easy to think that somebody should donate blood so that our community will have the blood it needs. It's another step to realize that you are somebody. If you have not yet donated and you are eligible, try it once. I think that you will discover it seems a lot scarier than it really is. And it's a lot less scarier than doing this. If you have donated, I encourage you to donate one more time. The cool thing about one more time is that it is like tomorrow. When you get there, you still have another to look forward to tomorrow. Be a regular donor and give the gift of tomorrow to people in your community who may not otherwise get a tomorrow. If you would like to know the names of some of these hometown heroes, go to bloodsource.org. Their address is on the cards there, I believe. And look for the donor recognition link on the left. And you will see last year's 10-gallon, 15, 20-gallon donors on their website. Also on your tables, I've given you a list of blood source locations and hours of operation, and I encourage you to take those with you. I encourage you to schedule a life-saving appointment soon. And I'd like to thank you for allowing me to share my passion with you today.